Thompson in his prime versus Conor McGregor in his prime, who wins and how do you see it playing out?
I'll answer that.
Yeah,
I think Conor would have beat me. I think, just being honest, I didn't have a lot of respect for him. When I had fought Tony Ferguson, there was a lot of talk about, if I beat Tony, that there'd be a good chance of him and I fighting. And I was like, but they would have had to redo my deal and all that stuff too. But I was saying there was a chance, like, because he was coming up. I was the old gatekeeper kind of guy, fought Benson, beat Nate, that kind of thing. So there was talk about potentially, like, hey, if you beat Tony Ferguson, he was like, he got like a 7-fight win streak or something at the time. And so he's like, if you beat Tony, there's a good chance you could potentially be in the conversation to fight Conor. But I think honestly, me in my prime, just the game was so much different. Conor, people don't give him enough credit for the things that he's done. Stand-up wise, the wide stance, the kind of that karate style. He's evolved his game from the time he first came in to the time he came now. My game was always very like, whatever you were good at, I try to just do the opposite. So I wasn't the best wrestler, I wasn't the best striker, I was never the best jiu-jitsu guy. But I was always someone that I knew what you were good at, and I just went away from that. I just tried to out-wrestle you. If he was a good striker, which he was, I would have tried to take him down. I would have set it up with punches and kicks, but a lot of what I did well, he did a little bit better, I think, on the feet. Also, too, that southpaw, I had a hard time with guys that were southpaw. I mean, I can say that now. It just was one of those things. I had a hard time, especially when I spar with guys that were really good southpaw guys in my gym. I spar with a couple good left-handers, boxing-wise. And I always had a hard time with them until like I had sparred with them 2 or 3 times. Even the first time I sparred with this kid named Ricardo Pinell, who was like, I want to say he was 11-0 when I started sparring, 9-0 when I started sparring with him. We sparred up until he was like 11 or 12-0. And same thing with Robert Guerrero when I sparred with him, the Ghost. I sparred with him. The first 2 times I sparred with them, I had the hardest time. The way they use their footwork, they step a different way, the opposite direction that I'm used to stepping. Try to keep my foot on the outside, the straight left, my straight right. I was always right hand heavy, but theirs was always faster and better. So like a boxer, I'm being honest, that straight left, they just got better hands. And I would put Conor in that mix of, he would have had better hands than me for sure, hands down. No pun intended there. He would have had, and then that push kick or that little toe kick, I dealt with guys that had that. They were really Kung Lee. He was fucking famous for that little toe kick. I had a hard time with that. It just was one of those things. I love to utilize my push kick. He has a toe kick. There's a difference between the two things. I had a good push kick that came up the middle. He had a good toe kick that was like an actual real like roundhouse kick that went, the toe dug in. Machida had it as well. Those guys are hard to deal with. Like, it's just those little nagging injuries, little nagging shots that keep you away.
That diminish you
and make you think like, fuck man, nothing's going my way. And then you add those things in with not being able to get 1 or 2 takedowns, especially early in the fight. All of a sudden your game plan changes. And I can tell you, I'll give you guys an example of when I fought Tony Ferguson. I was like, this guy's got no takedown defense. I'm gonna fucking take him down, no problem. I shot my very first takedown. He did that little roll through. I pretty much didn't shoot again after that. It was like I had very little shots. I stayed on the outside. That's where he wanted me. He was longer than me. He had long arms. He had longer push kicks. Things changed the game. And if you're gonna compare the two things between me and Conor, I think just my game was still trying to evolve, and I was trying to keep up with the younger guys that had been training MMA their whole time. Their games had evolved to whatever it was that made them really good. Like Conor, he didn't have great wrestling, but he had good takedown defense. He didn't have great wrestling, good cage awareness. Okay, he's got a wide stance. He knew how to utilize the inside kick. He did a lot of things at a very high level at a very young age. Whereas I felt like with my generation of guys, we were still trying to figure it all out. And the younger guys came in and like, oh, you guys got it figured out. We'll learn from this. Whereas we're still trying to figure it out, here at the bottom. I got to tip my hat to the guy, man. I mean, I would think he would have.
A lot of selective listening going on out there. I think people seem to think I referred to Kamaru Usman as the greatest welterweight of all time. I just said at this point, I'm not willing to have that conversation without mentioning his name. He is 12-0 now in the UFC. He has tied George St. Pierre's record for successive UFC welterweight wins. And Ken Flo, stylistically, he may not be everybody's cup of tea, but the name of the game is winning. He has been so dominant throughout his UFC career, only lost a couple rounds to Colby Covington, if you want to say he did lose 2 rounds. And, you know, until somebody is able to solve this self-proclaimed problem, I'm not sure what to tell you. This is the best welterweight in the world.
Absolutely. And listen, you know, I tweeted about this. You may not like it, but consistency, not taking damage during a fight and winning is the name of the game at the end of the day. All these guys that are complaining about, it's a boring style, they're not going to pay his medical bills when he's, 50, 60, 70 years old, if he has the ability to get to that age. And, you know, again, legacy, I think, is going to be much more important. I think Kamaru Usman is making some good coin now as a champion in the UFC. People are saying, well, he could make so much more and blah, blah, blah. Again, for some people, winning and consistency is more important than anything else. And Usman knows exactly who he is. He knows what makes him very good. I think he will continue to work on those skills so he can have some more finishes over the course of his career moving forward. It's a work in progress, but again, there's not a whole lot of people that are shutting down Jorge Masvidal like that. Usman was able to do it. He's been able to do that against many opponents with tremendous consistency, and you gotta applaud those efforts. You know, Khabib Nurmagomedov is very much cut from that same cloth. Of course, Khabib might get some more finishes here and there, but you know, they're both tremendous wrestlers who utilize their ground and pound to get the win.
Everybody can't be Justin Gaethje, as I said on broadcast. You know, Gaethje, Usman's teammate now, when he set out to become a pro MMA fighter, he wanted to be the most exciting man in MMA, and he has pivoted a little bit in trying to become a championship level fighter. And